welcome to an original Mind Over Matter initiative. It's called the Make Our Voices Heard podcast. Here we use a variety of platforms to talk about mental health issues, all the stigmas, the stereotypes, the importance, basically all the solutions as well. So everything under the sun to make your life better, because you know what they say, mind over matter is the only way. So today we have our guest, Ms. Kirandeep. She has a master's in education, a graduate of commerce, and the holder of a degree in performing arts. Kirandeep is trained in theatre, set design, makeup, Odissi dance, Indian and international folk dance, salsa dance, and teaching English as a second language. Her basic training in this field has been from Mumbai, Chandigarh, and Singapore. As an IB educator for over 18 years, she currently teaches MYP Theatre and DP Theatre at Pathways International World School. She is also an IB Theatre examiner and arts content developer for IB MYP. She's directed over 20 productions and choreographed 12 so far. Kirandeep has the experience of teaching all of the age groups in PYP, MYP as well as DP, and has worked with some of the finest IB schools of India. She's worked with Ecole Mondiale World School, Jamnabai Nasi International School, Podar, ORT International School, DPS International Ed School, and Pathways World School. She's a passionate leader, a film buff, and a creator by nature. Kirandeep believes that every individual should be exposed to performing arts. This is not just a subject but a life skill that we all use all the time. Creativity has no boundaries, thus to be able to express our feelings and emotions through theatre and dance is truly the best way to lead a life. Welcome Kiran Auntie, and thank you for doing this podcast.
Thank you, Valia, and I must say how impressed I am. And you're doing something really amazing, which is the need of the hour. So, congratulations to you.
So you teach at Pathways, which is a boarding school. So in your opinion, do you think that it's a stressful experience for children to be away from their families?
I must say that boarding school is fun. However, some younger students at times may have teething issues to settle in. But then later on, I have students who don't want to go back home for summer vacation because they're really well looked after. And sometimes, of course, you are homesick and you miss your parents and all that. But then we have resident parents who, take really good care of them. And you're in millennial age. So they are in touch with their parents on WhatsApp and phone calls every day. So yeah, they're all fine.
And do you think that it's a stressful experience for mentors and guides such as you to teach students?
I don't think it is stressful. It is fun to especially teach teenagers. At times it could be challenging because you have to catch up, to be at par with them and their slang and everything. It is challenging, but I don't think it is stressful. It's like, you feel young all the time. So yeah, that's nice.
Do you think that some of your students may experience stress?
Absolutely. Students do experience a lot of stress. There's mental stress, there is stress to submit assignments, there's a peer pressure, some do face bullying as well, social media pressure. There's lots, that children deal with, yes.
And what advice do you give to them? What would you give?
Firstly, it is very, very important, that one understands who you are as a person. There has to be self love and care, which is very important. You need to be comfortable in your own skin, and we have to understand this is part of growing up. People do pass comments, there are judgments. How you deal with it and how you balance yourself out in that situation is important. So I think a balance between good eating, exercise, at times, of course, you must get angry also. You need to know when to tell a person to stop. Often we see, they don't, the simple bullying concept, stop, walk and talk. That is the basic that everybody should do. And eventually, you have counselors and you have a forum in school setup especially where you can. So you have to learn to voice it out.
And any advice for children dealing with exam stress and academic pressure?
See, primary role of any student is to study. Yeah, you have to study. So studying is important. Sleeping is very, very important. Many teenagers, I feel, just one night before their exam, I don't know what they want to study the whole night. That I think personally should not be the case. One night before your exams, you must sleep well. And yes, you have to try your best and give it the best shot. However, this is what I tell all my students, one exam is not going to define your future. So if it's gone bad, it's okay. try again.
And you also mentioned social media and all those
Yes.
pressures. So, what effect do you think that social media is playing a role in?
So I'll tell you what happens is when we are spending too much of time on social media, our brain is getting over exercised. At times you're so brain tired that you are not able to absorb so much of easily available information. Some information maybe for a 13-14 year is not easy to absorb. So there's too much of information, there's too much of pressure, and then there's comparison, and so and so has 1,000 followers, I have only 200 followers. That is enough to, ruin your day and all that. So I think social media you must be on. It's a very, very important platform to be well aware of what is happening in the world, connecting with friends and making new friends. It's such an amazing platform. However, study, sleep, eat. Every student should play a sport, indulge in one creative art, pursue your passion, and if you have time still left in the 24 hours, then go on social media.
And you also mentioned a lot of like comparison. So, what advice would you give to teenagers who compare themselves to their friends or other like social media?
You see, comparisons are arduous. It is, each one has their own understanding. Some people are very content. That's why self-love and when you maintain a proper, healthy, balanced lifestyle, your approach toward things is different. And I mean, what are you going to compare? Instagram filters, or so many people have these bags, or 100,000 followers or whatever it is, and then what? So if you want to compare, you will keep on comparing. So my only advice is, it's okay, they are good, so are you. Big deal. That
But,
should be the
like, what if
attitude.
it causes depression in a child or anxiety? What would you do?
So firstly, the practices that we follow back in our school, and I'm talking about middle schoolers and DP students, there is a beautiful balance of everything that they do. Second, there are chances that you do get depressed and you do get anxious over certain things, and it actually becomes a sickness, right? In that case, we have series of counseling, which is so important, and real life situations and scenarios. You have to make children feel so comfortable, and I think which is very important. Also, depression is something you should know when to just draw that little curtain. And when we grew up, we didn't even know these words, Alia, to be very honest. I don't remember the first time I've ever heard. We were your age, our life used to be only playing, eating, going to school, and that's about it. We didn't have these words. So yes, because this is a lot of exposure to social media, there's a lot of information about what anxiety is, what clinical depression is, and all that. Depression is what you have to have that wall. In theater we use it. It's called the fourth wall. Yeah, and then you train yourself through activities that, okay, this is what I can take, and rest all is invisible. Yeah.
And what advice would you give to parents to deal with their kids, like when they have depression?
First, very important thing is the parents have to understand it is not the teenager's fault. They have too much of information. We have given them iPhones and iPads and laptops, and this speed of Wi-Fi is not working. Never mind, we will change the bandwidth and all that. So there's too much of information, and thanks to pandemic, everybody was in isolation. Yeah, so it gets very difficult. So they have to talk to, I think table conversations, dinner conversations, breakfast conversations are very important. If every family does that, and it's okay. I mean, it's okay if somebody is feeling lonely. We adults also, feel depressed and, anxious and all that. So I think that conversation, parents need to have with kids, and there should be this open speaking policy at home. That's what I think so.
And you've dealt with teenagers for a long time. So do you see any changes in them, like before and after the pandemic?
Yes, loss of sense of space. Okay, having meaningful conversations, eye contact, right? All these things which are so important to develop, your personality, and some of them, got so it's so difficult to part from your laptop.
because they're isolated.
Yeah, you have been for 2.5 years with your laptop in on your table and chair, limited space, so it's natural to forget the sense of that. So once our post pandemic the school started, it was initially a struggle, but now we've gone back to normal. So yeah.
And so, talking about depression in itself is usually considered like a taboo in older generations and even teenagers, and they tend to misuse the term sometimes. So, what advice would you give to both parents and teenagers?
Firstly, everybody should understand that such words are not to be used loosely. It is not a slang to say that, oh, I'm depressed. You're depressed about what? It's a really, really big concern. What happens with adults is, see, we are a sandwich generation. Yeah, we are trying our level best to get progressive, and we open to these new terms and terminologies and how to help and cope kids with it. It is not that when we were young these things were not there, they were definitely there, but it is very, very important to be aware. It is very, very, a child who gets into depression always gives signals.
Yeah.
So, as adults and as friend circle or as family, it's very important to identify those things. Nobody one day wakes up and says, I'm depressed. It always something leads to that. So, those signals, how would you know when you are with each other? There's eye contact, you're talking, there's touch, feel. Those things are very, very important, I feel.
And what kind of signals do you?
So, for example, just sitting and holding your t-shirt all the time and like crunching onto it all the time, it is sign that there's some insecurity building up. All of a sudden not wanting to eat, for example, all of a sudden not wanting to talk or being party to things that you were okay with, those are signs. Why do we not observe it? Because everybody is so busy. Either they are on laptop or they are on phone or they're or watching some series or something or the other, and then we have started to believe that's how the world is. But that demarcation is so important. A lot of signals children give, adults give before they actually get into that.
And mental and physical health, do you think that they're like two sides of the same coin? Do you think that they're interconnected?
So I personally feel mental and physical health are very, very interconnected. They're like married, they're like a relationship. If one gets affected, eventually it is going to have repercussions on the other. Often people think that mental and physical things are two different things, but they are not. Right? If, for example, you're physically tired and you're not able to do certain things, it will affect you mentally as well, and vice versa. So it's, I think, one thing, it's not two separate things.
And how would you help parents and teenagers deal with, like, if there's an issue with one and there's certainly repercussions on the other? What advice would you give?
See, mostly just by talking out and just by making some altercations, it can be easily, sometimes it's just a mood swing also. It could be as simple as that. But if it is like a very, very serious issue that depression is leading to, locking yourself up or trying to commit suicide or getting into drug abuse and all those kind of things, then that's the time you definitely need clinical help. But generally, family talking and just, it's so important for anybody to just know that somebody is there to listen to you and is not judging you. That one person, that comfort one person should be there in every house. And I think I always tell parents, just be open to what your kids are talking. Forget about what you did when you were younger, but things have changed. So yeah.
And as a mother yourself to a teenager, what advice would you give to parents about handling moody teenagers and teenagers with like mood swings going through puberty?
So moody things, I still am moody. I still PMS, right? It is part of our, this thing. So I think adults should be more sensitive towards it. And that one little hug, that one hot chocolate, or that one just abrupt plan of going for a movie, just leave everything, sometimes it's okay, nahi padha, 2 days you don't study, what's the big deal? Or if you have got bad grades, what's the big deal? Or if due to puberty and all, you're struggling with the changes, your body or mentally you're feeling it, it's okay, it's eventually everything is going to be fine. So that readiness, often especially in India, parents are not okay to talk these things out with kids, right? They'll not talk about puberty and what body changes are going to happen, or you will not discuss certain things because they find it very private and all that. So I think it should just be out, and everybody should be, yes, openness is the key to move ahead. That's what I feel.
Okay, so thank you so much for your precious time and your valuable
My pleasure.
expertise and experience. So our vision was basically to create like a youth-powered, non-profit encouraging conversation to kind of educate people and break the stigmas around mental health. And so we'd like to thank you for joining us in our mission.
My pleasure, and I'm glad. In fact, I'm going to share with you some of my students' performances. So we do a lot of performances. We use body and scenarios to break the taboo and to create that awareness. So I'll share with you, that will give you some insight into. That's a very visual way, is a very beautiful way to educate anybody. Where there are no dialogues, there's nothing, it's only scenarios that creates that impact. So I'm very, very happy and impressed, and you're doing a lovely thing, and I wish you all the very best with it.